right. So hopefully everybody can see this. Well, first of all, like Mary said, just welcome everyone. Look, I really appreciate everybody taking the time today to come join us. And just as a quick introduction, my name is Brian Teague, and I'm the head of our Mid-Atlantic region for the Goldman Sachs ACO team. And our office is actually located right in Parsippany, New Jersey, so really close to where all of you are. And really, before we get started here, I just want to kind of give a quick thank you to Mary Sagan and her team for helping put this together for us. It's funny, I've known Mary for a very long time now, and we were reminiscing when we first reconnected again, is that I was part of the team that helped put together the wealth management minor at FDU as well. So long history here with the college, and just really excited to be paired up with you all again. So, we're going to take a little bit of a different approach today's presentation. What I'm going to do today is give you a little background on just who we are, what we do, and then introduce you to some of the team members that I have on the call today, and let them walk you through their role, what their day-to-day looks like. And then really what I'm going to do is I want to open it up for questions. Okay, so please, if you have questions about the positions, what we do, etc., ask. Okay, we want to make sure this is interactive. None of us want to be sitting here and speaking the whole time. Okay, so what we do is we provide holistic financial planning to all corporate executives. So this could be anybody from all in the C-suite, so your CEO, your CFO, all the way down to the person who started their first day within the company. And we have a really unique business model where a company's coming to hire us to provide financial planning to their employees. And our primary target when we're doing this is for those Fortune 1000 companies. So the beautiful thing about this is that we're not cold calling to grow our business like a lot of other firms are. Our business is really built around providing that outstanding client service, which our clients appreciate. And if they leave and go somewhere else, or they have a friend, they give us a referral, and that's how we start a new relationship. So, it's a fantastic business model. And for those, who have ever done this before, myself included, cold calling on a prior life was the worst. So I'm very happy to be past all of that. So why don't we dive in here a little bit, just to kind of give a sense to you all of what do we mean by financial planning. All right. So this holistic financial counseling model that we use for our clients is that we're not only advising our clients, but we're helping them execute their plan at the end of the day. So our advisors, the analysts, the teams, everybody supporting there, you really become a jack of all trades. And here you learn every financial aspect of an individual's life, and you make sure they're going in the right direction, right? You become that personal CFO for them at the end of the day. And our goal here is to really make sure we're driving them to execution, because a plan, it's not really worth anything if it's not being executed at the end of the day. So just to give an example of this financial planning, what this looks like, because you'll hear the term financial advisor thrown around a lot out there in the industry. But at the end of the day, they're really just looking for the investment portfolio aspect of things, and that's all they're going to advise on. Now, we're not bashful about this. We do have a great investment platform for our clients to use, obviously as being associated with Goldman Sachs, but we're coming in and we can address all aspects of the financial life. For instance, here, as you're taking a look at the chart here, we come in with a deep understanding of the employees' company benefits, how they work, and then how they leverage them across, each individual can leverage that across their financial lives. And then we can come in and supplement where we need to, right? Outside resources, etc. So companies love us because we help their employees really appreciate what they've worked hard to put in place for them. And that helps them with retention at the end of the day. Okay. So just a very simple example here too would be, a lot of firms offer deferred compensation to their employees, and a lot of employees don't know what to do with that. So we come in and we help them address things like, well, if I participate in a deferred compensation plan, what does that do for my compensation and cash flow needs today? And how does that help me in retirement? What tax savings are associated with this? How should I think about this? And then how should I have it pay out to me in the future? There's beneficiary designations assigned to that. Should I name my spouse? Should I name my children? Should I name my mom, my dad? Who should be the beneficiary there? And then also within the deferred compensation plan, there's also investment options and decisions that need to be made. So we're able to take all of that just off of one simple question or an inquiry that a client might have and frame that around their entire financial life at the end of the day. Okay. A comment that I hear from new colleagues that come in or people that are just coming into the workforce is, I want to make sure that I'm having an impact in the work that I'm doing. This work you're doing, you're having a direct impact on the clients you're working with almost day one once you land on a team. Okay, so I mean, it's really exciting to see the clients grow through their career, and you're growing along with them at the end of the day, and seeing them reach that goal, whether it be a retirement, a home purchase, paying off debt, and celebrating that with them. It's really rewarding at the end of the day. So it's you do have a major impact on everybody's lives here. As I mentioned before, just kind of giving some stats here on kind of the number of corporate programs that we work with across the United States. You can see here 460, 50 of which are here in the Fortune 100. So again, our company and what we're providing is well known across corporate America. So, you're probably thinking, all right, that's great, Brian. We're going to come in, we're going to be this jack of all trades. That circle you had showed before of all the different financial disciplines that we're going to be talking to our clients about. Well, how do we do that? So the way we do this is we do this through an apprenticeship model. What that means is that you come on, you join a team, and you partner with an advisor. And then we provide you with all the training and resources that you need in order to succeed. We want you all to succeed. The goal is to put you in that position. You go through a rigorous training, you do, and you think of it as like a boot camp. You'll come in for the first 8 weeks where you're going through all the training. We're providing you the basic knowledge on all those financial disciplines. And we're also providing you time to study for your securities licenses. This could be your SIE, your Series 7, your Series 66. As you continue to grow in your career and you take on more responsibilities with the clients, you're really seen as part of that team. A lot of times, as the advisor, you want them reaching out to the analyst or the planner on the team. Like, we want that, right? We want the client to feel like they have a team that they can go to, and it's not just one individual that they're relying on. So again, that's the primary core business that we have here located in Parsippany, New Jersey. But what we also have, though, is a number of other business units inside of there that helps us go, right? And it helps us either generate new business, provide that technical expertise for us all, because again, we're not experts in all these items, but we do have these think tanks that we can lean on to help give us that information. Okay, so just to give you a sense of those different business units, we have a national tax team, we have a wealth strategies group, tax policy and research, and benefits and compensation. So what I've done today, like I mentioned earlier, is that I've asked a number of individuals to join me today here that are within either the Parsippany walls or within Goldman Sachs ACO as a whole, just to introduce themselves, give a little background on who they are, and what their day-to-day looks like. So with that, I will take a deep breath and hand it over to Chris Winter here, who's an advisor within our New Jersey office. So Chris, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you all. And I can tell you, it's really nice to be doing this because when I say I sat where you sit, I literally mean it. I graduated from FDU in 2007 with my undergrad with a bachelor's in economics and an MBA in 2008. So I took a look at the faculty, and I had some of the professors that you guys still have there. So when I left FDU, right, didn't necessarily know that I wanted to be a financial advisor, but ended up working for Ernst & Young in that capacity. Worked there for a few years, and then when I came to ACO, Brian had mentioned how you have an immediate impact on clients, and you really get exposure that you get through our company that you wouldn't necessarily get at other places. And for example, the week number 2 on a team, I ended up speaking to the CEO of a very large corporation, and the very next week after I spoke to him, I saw him on CNBC, getting interviewed because he was such an important person. So here I am in my late 20s, my early 30s, being an advisor, and people calling, those high profile type of people, calling me for advice. So started on someone's team, being as Brian mentioned, the apprenticeship model. Really, working to become that jack of all trades and gain that knowledge. And now I'm at a point where I do have my own clients, right? I have my own book of clients. So what does that mean? What does my day to day look like? It's a number of things. As you can imagine, the different disciplines that Brian had mentioned there, we wear a number of different hats. On a day like today, if you're following the markets, sometimes I'll call myself a financial therapist as opposed to a financial advisor, because of days like today. So it could be anything for, tomorrow I'm seeing Mr. Smith at 10 a.m. to discuss the performance of your investments. And then at noon, I'm discussing, with Mr. Jones, his tax projection. Along with that, right, if I know that meeting with Mr. Smith is coming up, I have to prepare for that. So I'm looking ahead a week or two and kind of figuring out what do I need for those meetings. I'm looking back a week or two to figure out what kind of follow-up I need from those meetings. And I really, that's what I enjoy about the work, right? No day is the same. Some days are better than others, and that's in any in any profession that you go into. Some days will be better than others. But some days I focus more on taxes. Some days I focus more on investments. When I did graduate, right, I think like a lot of people, I wanted to go be that portfolio manager, and I wanted to go trade stocks and make a fortune trading stocks. And I thought I was good enough at it, and I realized I wasn't. But I think, where we sit allows me to really have a hand in that investing world, but then have the people aspect, right? When I kind of sat back and realized, what are my stronger points and what are my weaker points? Being a people person was something that was important to me. I think I was decent at it, and it was something I really wanted to incorporate. And if I was trading stocks all day, I don't know that I would have been able to do that. So I was able to kind of step into this role and say, what, it makes me happy. And if there's advice that I'll give you, right, no matter where you end up, and this is from, I'll call him Old Man Winter, my father. Nobody likes what they do 100% of the day or 100% of the time, right? It's just not realistic. So you're not going to love going to work every day, but you can't hate it either. And the people that you are with will be a big contributor to that. And I can say 99% of the time I enjoy going to work because of the people that you're going to hear from today, right? I genuinely enjoy, going in and bouncing ideas off of other people, and talking about the Super Bowl and talking about the ending of Game of Thrones and whatever it may be. You got to enjoy the people that you're working with, and we work with really great people. So, Brian, unless you have anything to add to what I said, I guess I'll hand it over to Kat.
Well said, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. Hi, everyone. My name is Kat. I'm a financial counselor. I got my undergrad degree at Rutgers University. I majored in accounting, got a master's in accounting. And after all of that, I decided I didn't want to do accounting. I realized at the end of the day, I was good at Excel, but I didn't want to sit and do Excels all day. I wanted a job that I could interact with others, interact with clients. And I don't think there's a lot of places where you can say you come out of school 21, 22 years old and you make such large impacts on, these executives' lives, some really important people, as Chris mentioned. You see people on CNBC, you're giving them advice and they really value your opinion. I remember on my first meeting that I ever attended, there was this client, he was in between jobs. He was like, look, Kat, I have these two roles and I don't know which one to pick. Like, what do you think? And the fact that he valued my opinion, it was pretty incredible. It's something I didn't expect, but you kind of come across a lot of situations like that. That's my personal anecdote. But day to day, it varies. You wear a lot of hats, like Chris said. Coming out of school, you might not be familiar with everything, but with our structure, there's rigorous training, and you kind of never get out of training. You're learning every day. Even for me, I've been here coming up on 5 years. I learn new things. Like every time I go into the office, you just hear, some really incredible people around you, what they're doing. And I think at the core that, that's part of our culture. You could go into anyone's office, bounce ideas off of them, stop at someone's cube and kind of get new perspective. And as a new person, if you have questions, we definitely welcome that. That's pretty much the way we learn around here, and never be afraid to ask those questions. That's what's going to make you successful. And that's kind of my piece. If Brian, you don't have anything else to add to that, I'll pass this to Kathleen.
Yeah, beautiful. Catherine, Kat, just to just mention one thing before we pass over to Kathleen, is that I think one of the things here I hear Chris and Kat say, which makes me proud, right? Just being in my position, is that the service that we provide to our clients is outstanding, right, and extremely valued by them. But one B to that from an importance level is the culture, right? And I think hopefully you're hearing that through Chris, through Kat, right? It's a very supportive culture that we have inside of the office. If you ask a lot of people who've worked other places, it's not as my opinion, and from my own experience too, is that it may not be as supportive, right? We come in, we make sure the resources are there for you. We surround you with that, because at the end of the day, if you're succeeding, right, and other people are helping, right, we're all growing, right, which is important. And we want to make sure we keep that continuity. So I'm glad Chris and Kat talked about that. So sorry, Kathleen, I'll turn it over to you.
No worries. Thank you. And thank you all for having us today. My name is Kathleen Cashion. I actually sit in the Cahoe's office at ACO. So I'm in the headquarters in upstate New York. I'm originally from 4 hours north of here, almost near Canada, and I went to school at St. Rose in Albany. So I stayed after college. I actually started at ACO in 2017, and I started, I'll just get into this quickly. We have 3 levels of service at ACO, right? We have a financial counseling level for the broad-based employee populations, like the IBMs of the world, who have thousands of employees. We have a mid-level service, and we have a top-tier service that Chris and Kat support. I started on the financial wellness line. So I was actually giving financial advice and counseling to individuals at IBM when I first started here. I did that for about 2 years, and I went to school for business administration with a concentration in marketing. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, so I saw this opportunity and I took it when I graduated. After going through the training, the training here is unreal. Like, you go through hours and hours of training and modules to go through tax planning, there's estate planning, life insurance planning, like anything that you didn't learn in school, you'll learn here. But you basically go through a ton of training, and throughout all that training and in talking to clients and just being able to interact with other parts of the firm, I had come across this open position on the corporate development side of the business. So I applied for it and got it after the interview process. And since then, so since 2020 in January, I've been sitting in a role in the corporate development group. So my team is responsible for really just getting like the boots on the ground, ACO salespeople. We are out regionally, nationally, across the country. We're broken out into regions, and we're responsible for really penetrating the Fortune 1000 and bringing in new business so that Chris and Kat can service clients and we can bring revenue to the firm. More recently, I have taken a position where I'm more focused on strategic sales. So anything to do with private equity firms, anything to do with private to public transactions, anything to do with law firms, professional services, that's where my team and myself come into play, and where we really try to articulate the value of ACO to our corporate sponsors. So the whole idea here, as Brian said before, right, a lot of people look at financial advisors as people who want the investments. We're really here to educate corporate America on the benefit of an institutional offering and providing financial planning to employees at all levels of the firm and how it ties into a financial well-being strategy. I think that one of the things that I really love about ACO is just the opportunity and the people, like Chris and Kat and Brian had mentioned. I think it's really awesome to be able to work with Brian day to day. If I want to, I work with Chris all the time. Like, we sit in separate offices, but we still have that connectivity. And just the fact that I started in one place at the firm and now I'm doing something completely different, but what I was doing before actually helps me in my role now, because I can articulate the value of employees knowing how to make elections in a deferred compensation plan to a CHRO and how that could be valuable. And just like the opportunity, right? I'm able now in a client-facing role to talk to CHROs, to talk to CEOs and CFOs of these firms with the experience I've had here and the opportunity. So I just think that being at ACO is really rewarding, just because of the fact that you make so many connections, you have so much opportunity, and it's all like literally right within your fingertips. I think that my day-to-day is different every single day, which is another piece that I love about sitting on the corporate development team. One day it could be a focus on an international offering. The next day it could be working with private wealth management and how we structure an ACO offering, or how we bring in new eligibles in the door. So I think that the overarching theme here is that there's a ton of opportunity here. And if you start in one place, you can really move to any other place within the firm. So it's a great place to be, and there's a lot of opportunity is what I would say.
Awesome. Kathleen, thank you so much. I'm glad you touched on that too, because, you know, we want to make sure, right, like I was mentioning before, that people earn a place to succeed. And Kathleen's a great example of this. She started in one division, she excelled there, looked for the other opportunity, applied for it, right? And that's something that we want to make sure that we continue to promote throughout the company. That's a big piece, the internal mobility aspect of things, because we want to retain our great people. So Kathleen, really appreciate you sharing that, because that's a great example of just, again, the culture kind of within not only our office, right, but as the company, Goldman Sachs, ACO as a whole. So,
yeah.
So with that, Jess, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Brian. Hi, everyone. I'm Jessica. I am a recent graduate of Strayer University with my degree in business and human resources. Before coming to ACO, I was an assistant at a Mercedes-Benz dealership. So really having no background in finance, I've been here for 3 years now. I can really add to what Kat said, that we have a really supportive culture, and I'm never really afraid to ask a question or ask to know more, or the why behind something. Again, I've really had no background in finance, so everyone's been really helpful explaining things to me. At a super high level, the client analyst role is kind of a crossover between an admin and a financial analyst. We're really pulling away from that admin piece and getting more involved with assisting clients and basically everything from asset transfers to account openings. We're really a main point of contact for the client, and assisting the client and the team in anything. So yeah, Brian, I don't know if you want me to add more to that, but
yeah. So Jessica's position is super critical to the counseling team, and I should step back a second and think about it, and just to kind of give a visual to you all, right? So our counseling teams, how they're structured, you'll have Chris as the advisor. Working alongside Chris, you might have a Kat as the financial counselor, or the financial analyst who's helping put together the financial exhibits, digging in to find planning opportunities, etc. And then you have Jess, who's in the client analyst role. Again, they're all on the same team here. Jess is helping pull, open up accounts, get wiring millions of dollars a day potentially, right? Constant client contact. So that's the team when you think about the advisory support team that's kind of going out to the client, like I mentioned before, okay, that it is a cohesive team the client is getting, and we want to make sure that the client feels that and knows that it's not just one person that's there supporting. So again, everybody's role is super critical here. Kathleen's is super critical in helping us drive the business, find it, and bring it in the door for us here. And again, a lot of that it's referrals that Chris or somebody else who's an advisor is getting from their client, and brings in Kathleen and her team to come in, do the background, go out and help make the pitch to help for the company. So again, we're all working together as one big cohesive team, and like everybody said, it's the team that brings it all together and really makes it go. So everybody, thank you. I appreciate you taking the time here to kind of give you a little bit about yourself, your background, your experience. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to switch over here, and I'm going to end this screen share here for a second, just because when I screen share, I lose everybody on the Zoom. I can't see anybody. So what I want to do here is just take a minute now, right, and just kind of open it up to you all, right? Everybody who's here. What questions do you have? What can we do to be helpful to you all?
So I have a question. I'm an exchange student from Germany and I'm only for one semester at the FDU, but I'm still searching for an internship abroad because my university in Germany requires one, and I'm actually very looking for a finance internship, and I want to ask if there is a opportunity for an international student or not, because I have only just a J1 visa. Sorry. So yes.
Sure, no, absolutely, no, great question. So, we do have another, there are certainly internship opportunities, with us. We do support individuals who are here on various visas. We do have a number of individuals that we are helping support through that process. So if you are interested in an internship, and I'll put the screen back up in a little bit here, but if you can go to ACO.com, you can go to goldmansachs.com/careers as well. And there, if you walk through that, you can apply to different positions and roles. I'll say this though, it's such a competitive standpoint right now from the intern standpoint that if you are interested in an internship, we're actually looking to fill the spots for summer of 2023 right now, believe it or not. So if you're interested, that is going to start to open up in the June-July timeframe. So I'll make sure I keep Mary and her team in the loop on when that opens from the summer internship for 2023. But that's how far out we have to be right now in getting this going. So, but great question. Yeah, we're happy to be supportive any way we can.
Thank you.
Yeah.
A quick question. I see a lot of you guys have their MBA. If I'm going for my master's in accounting, do I need an MBA to get a job at Goldman? Or, I mean, obviously I'm sure people have gotten jobs there in the past that don't have, but is it like do I stand like a much lower ground because I don't have an MBA? Or
no, great question. If so, I'm on that ground with you. I don't have an MBA. That's not my background. So, what I'll say is this: is that in order to become that advisor role or the financial counselor role that Kat is in, for instance, it's one of the things that we're looking for is somebody to have either their certified financial planner designation, a CFA, a JD. Masters in taxations, MBA, whatever it might be. We come in during that aspect, come out of undergrad to get to those levels. That there's an expectation that you get one of those certifications along the way, right? To become the advisor or the financial counselor to kind of grow in your career. There is support there for that as well. There is a reimbursement, education reimbursement option there too.
Oh, but you don't have to have that prior to joining the firm. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Does it help? Sure, but it's not necessarily a requirement.
I have a quick question. What do you usually look for in potential candidates? Quality-wise.
I've answered a number of questions here, so I'm actually going to turn this. I want to hear from Chris and Kat and the others. So please.
I'll jump in. I think, you can see that you can't teach attitude, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can teach you technical skills. I can build your technical knowledge. I can even teach you how to deal with clients and how to explain things. So the thing that I look for most is a positive attitude, being hungry, willing to learn, doing the right things, right? The pieces of advice after I had been in the real world for a few years, I kind of look back and say, what would I tell myself? Show up early. Okay. Some people will disagree with me on that, right? Because we live in a world where you could be connected 24/7. I'm willing to bet if you look at the top C-suite people, that they're the type of people that show up at 7 a.m., not 10. So I would say show up early. This might sound weird. When you don't think you're being, evaluated or watched, you are. And I mean that from you're going to be going through the grind and working really hard. And sometimes you don't think that's noticed, but it is. Similarly, when you don't think you're being noticed, if you consciously or subconsciously kind of use that opportunity to kind of skate by, that's being noticed too. So that's a bit of bit of advice for call it a new young professional. But I think that goes along with the attitude. That's really what I look for. I've been on interview committees for internships and permanent positions. And I really look at is what's the energy, what's the attitude, what's the passion. That's what I look for more so than what's your GPA.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that too. Like, I just reviewed a bunch of resumes actually for a member on my team. And I think when I'm reviewing a resume and it comes through on paper, sorry, I'm noticing that I'm kind of lagging. I hope you guys can all hear me. I probably
You're
sound good. Okay. When I am looking through resumes, right, I only know you on paper. I don't know how you're going to talk. I don't know how you're going to come prepared. I don't know like what the conversation's going to be, right? I don't know how you're going to answer any questions I ask you. So I think something that's really important to consider is not only your presence when you're going to an interview, but like your presence on paper. Be really thoughtful and tactful in what you include, where you include it, even the layout. I will tell you from reviewing some resumes, there were some layouts that I looked at it and I said, nope, I don't like the way it looks. So I'm not going to spend as much time as I would on something that was really well done, where the experience was really well thought out. The bullet points were succinct and concise, because those things tell me that you care about the quality of your work. And those things tell me that, you know, you're creative and you're thoughtful in how you present yourself. So just a couple of things I noticed as somebody who's given a resume, prepared a resume, but also reviewed them and have interviewed people. So I just think those are things that you have to think about when you're starting out into the workforce. So just always something that I've come to realize is like when you're interacting with anybody more senior than you, anybody that you do work with, just be really thoughtful in how you present yourself and like how you articulate your own value prop.
Awesome.
I'll echo that. I get this trait from my father, and sometimes I like it and sometimes I don't. I saw an interview where, a resume, every single line item had a period in the first part, and the second part it didn't. Does that matter? No. But it's, for me, it's the kind of thing I noticed that, and it's almost tough for me to get past it. Control the things you can control. Okay. You can't control that you don't have any experience when you're applying for your first job. You can control, like Kathleen said, what your resume looks like. Control the things you can control. Do the best you can with what you can.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I have a question as well. What do you guys like about what do you like about working here the most?
I can take this one. I gotta say, it's the people that we work with every day. I'd be lying if I said I went into work and I was excited to do a tax projection every day that I went to work. But really, I think Chris said this earlier on the call. Like I enjoy going to work to talk to the people I talk to. They're some of the best relationships I've made in my life, I would say. They're a lot of smart people, a lot of people that can help you grow in your career, grow in personal aspects as well. So when it comes down to it, it's the people you work with. I also enjoy the clients that I've interacted with. I know when I first started, I was nervous because, these are all these successful people. You feel like there's a barrier between you and them, but at the end of the day, they're still people. They're talking to you. They care about what you have to say to them. So the faster you get past that barrier, the more natural the relationship will be.
Great, thank you so much.
Of course. I'll
also add to that again, just that I think that, and I mentioned this when I was speaking, the opportunity that you have here is just, I've obviously never worked anywhere else, but in comparison to the friends I have, the family I have, like the opportunity working here is just unmatched. And I think that that's the really cool part about ACO and just being connected to Goldman is that you can come in doing one thing and then you can find your niche and then you can really get good at that. And then you're thought of by senior leaders and then you can really just excel in what you want to do and what you really enjoy doing. So I think that that's just really important because once you get to that point too, you can also just excel and build your relationships across the firm. There are so many people that I never thought I would have met a year ago that I have really great relationships with now, and people that I've never thought that I would interact with day to day, but have become some of the people I do interact with day to day. So I think that it really comes down to the opportunity at ACO and Goldman.
Thank you for sharing. That's very helpful.
Hi, everyone. I got a quick question. My name is Godfred Bafi, and first and foremost, thank you for being here with us. This time is greatly appreciated. It's a lot of value, so thank you. My question is, what are the skills and experiences that the hiring team is looking for and prioritize the most?
So, you know, from a skill set, you know, I'll say this is that, you know, and I think a lot of things that we look for at times too, there's a lot of intangibles, right? And I think Chris touched on this, you know, Kat, you know, we all touched on it in some point. You know, the school FDU is going to do a great job at giving you the skills technically, right, that you'll need to be able to do the analytical aspects of things and putting things together, right? But it's going to be those intangible aspects that I think people had mentioned to you of, you know, are you, you know, what happens when you get, you know, what happens when you get, you know, punched in the chin, punched in the nose, right? Well, what's going to happen? How are you going to pick yourself back up? How do you take feedback? How are you then, you know, growing? What are you looking to proactively do? You know, Kathleen mentioned this earlier, and it's like you drive your own bus through when it comes to your career and the effort and things that you put into it. So, you know, from an analytical aspect of things, obviously, you know, like GPA is great. Don't get me wrong. It's not something we're downplaying a strong GPA in the slightest bit either, right? Like that's going to be a point of a barrier, right? Because that shows hard work, you know, knowledge base coming in, right? So that's something we're going to be looking for, but it's not the end all be all. So I think rely on what you're getting from a technical ability standpoint from the university, and working with Mary and her team. Like you're going to get that, right? And that's not the point of. That's not the concern I have. It's the concern of what's going to happen with those other things, right? As we all kind of touched on.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
I also think too, sorry, I just keep adding things to everything everyone's saying. When I think, so as you come out of school, obviously you're not going to have a ton of experience that like Brian would have, or that Chris would have, or that any of us on here would have working at Goldman, right? Or at ACO. I think that something to consider is that the experience piece of the job that you do apply for shouldn't intimidate you, but you should really think about how you can apply what you have done, what you've studied in school, projects you've worked on, how you can apply that to the job that you are applying for, and how you can apply the skills that you've learned to what you will be doing, and really make sure that you understand the role that you are applying for. That's one of the questions that I ask a lot of the people I interview is, okay, you've met with X, Y, and Z. What is your understanding of what your day-to-day is going to look like? What's your understanding of the role? Just because that helps me figure out where they're at. What do they understand about the role? How can their experience based off of their resume indicate that there's something here for us to work with and something for us to consider? So I think that's important too.
And Kathleen, by the way, I love that you keep jumping in. This is one of the reasons why I asked you to join us today. So you keep it up.
Yeah, I have a question. So I know in the beginning you talked about like everyone goes through that rigorous training. So is there does everyone go through the same training, or is there like specific trainings someone goes through according to like what position they're going for?
Sure. So if you're coming in through the corporate development group side of things, where Kathleen sits, yeah, that'll be a different aspect of the training, right? But where we all started from the financial planning aspect of things, you're coming in and going through the same planning that everybody starts off with, and we have it tiered. And the way it gets set up is that think of it like your university courses: level 100, 200, 300, 400. It's very technical in the beginning, and then it builds to be more practical over time. And those who reach that level 400, they're role plays now. I have a set of role plays coming up next week. Chris has been a part of them as well, where he's acting as the client, and we're providing feedback to those individuals along the way. Now, that level 400 is like 3-4 years into your time here, right? And so you're building upon that. And I think Kat had actually mentioned this earlier, is that you're learning. The training doesn't stop after you come out of that boot camp. Like there's constant trainings throughout the year. and that to keep you apprised of things, because on our business, our industry, everything changes day by day, right? So we need to stay sharp on things, and that's why the trainings are always there to make sure that you're on top of things. So yeah, that basic level. I mean, Chris came in with years of experience beforehand. He still went through the level 100 type training in there when he was. It's funny because I was a trainer for Chris when he came in. He was running circles around me in certain parts at certain points of that because of his experience and stuff like that, right? So, but again, it's making sure that they're looking at it through also the way we view things as well versus where you might have seen it on the outside.
And I'll add to that. Brian mentioned the apprenticeship model, right? So what does that mean? It means you're kind of doing the job until you're the official person, right? So you kind of start off with, hey, here's where the bathroom is. I'm going to tell you where the bathroom is, and then that's all you really need to worry about, right? But I told the woman on my team today, Serena, I said, it's really evident that things are really starting to click for you, and that's awesome, right? It's about a year now. So really, things are really starting to click. And I said, I kind of said, congratulations. You know what that means? There's more work coming your way. Because the minute you know X, we're going to give you Y. And the minute you know Y, you're going to owe Z. And it kind of gets to the point to right before you get your own clients, you're kind of doing the entire job for your boss. But then that prepares you that when you're the person and it's actually resting on your shoulders. So yeah, there's an 8-week rigorous training session, but it doesn't, I kind of told her, it doesn't really get easier. The work just gets harder. That kind of gets to you. That keeps being given to you. Now, listen, it's not go figure it out on your own. We sit down, we have trainings. There's other people. We're going to bring in the investment people to talk to you in the weeds about that, and the tax people and the insurance people. So you're not alone, but it's a constant learning. And like Brian said, right, some of the role plays. I'll share the first time, when I first started getting clients, everything up here, right? I knew what a municipal bond ladder was. The first time I had to explain it, I remember getting off the call going, "Oh man, that was not good. That was not good. That was pretty sloppy." You got to do that, right? And then guess what? It was smoother the time after that. Then when I knew I was presenting something different, I'd practice. I'd bring someone and say like, "Hey, here's how I'd present it. How do you present it?" So that kind of goes back to the resources. I guess this is a very long-winded way of saying the training never really ends, but in a good way.
Thank you.
I have a question. So my name is Richard Gerritsen, and again, thank you guys for taking the time to be here. And I was just curious what the hiring process is from start to finish, after you submit your resume and submit your application.
Sure. So, and a number of the names and faces here look familiar because I know I've seen a couple of resumes, et cetera, already. So, you go to the site, again, ACO, you can go to ACO.com, you can go to GoldmanSachs.com/careers and go that way as well to get in there. What you'll do is you'll go in, you submit your resume in, you then do what's called if you get selected past that, you go through what's called a hire view, where you'll go in and you'll be asked to answer a number of questions there that you'll record yourself. I know it probably seems a little awkward as you're doing it, but it's that right, that gets reviewed by the team. And then we look to if you get past that, then we then sit down and schedule a time where you're there to meet with a number of individuals in that department who will sit down and do the interview process along with you. So it is a long process. So, and there is a lot of activity going on. So we ask for patience as we're going through this. But I think we try to do our best to also make sure that we are staying connected with people along the way to keep you all apprised.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question. Out of curiosity, did any or all of you do an internship at ACO before getting the full-time position, or did you intern somewhere else and then apply after you graduated?
I interned at Smith Barney, not ACO. I don't know if you're Florham or Metro, but I was actually right on Columbia Turnpike near the Madison campus. Back then they were owned by Morgan Stanley. No, back then they were owned by Citigroup. Now they're Smith Barney.
Go ahead, Kat.
I interned at a mid-tier accounting firm prior to this, so I wouldn't say it necessarily had the targeted experience, but I thought it was good in terms of, developing work style and things of that like. So when I'm reviewing resumes, if you can kind of connect it to something that you see on the job description, even then, like not exactly connecting, it's good if you can kind of draw upon your experience in more creative ways.
Yeah, I interned somewhere locally here in Albany, so I wasn't here at ACO.
So to expand on that, right? Getting any kind of experience helps you, and I'll explain why, right? So I was on an interview and I said, your resume was kind of more analytical, right? You've done analyzing stocks. Why kind of the financial advising, the more human element? And they kind of went, oh, I've done that. And I realized I liked the human element. That's what I was missing. That's why I want to get in here. Great answer. And we moved on, right? So whatever experience you can go out there and get that, go get it, and then figure out, use that, right? You'll figure out what you do and do not like, and then use that to get into what you don't like or do like rather, and be able to apply it. Hey, this is what I learned there, and this is why I think it's a good fit in your position.
And to expand on that, and I think the question, and I think that's helpful for you to understand too, is that over the last, I would say, half a dozen years, I think we've hired, I was just counting as I was kind of going back in time, we probably hired 4 to 5 analysts who actually interned with us at one point in time, because we just hired one that interned with us the past summer. She graduated in December. We just hired her. She just onboarded last week with us for full time. So yeah, and personally, frankly, the internships, when we come into this, and again, it evolves every year, but really the internships, you're not going to get people's dry cleaning and get people coffee. Like, that's not what you're doing. Like, we're having people do analyst work. You're jumping into client files. You're learning how to prepare things. We put you through a modified training that an analyst walking in the door goes through, and then you get added to a team and start to see things moving and happening, and you're getting hands into it. So yeah, we absolutely look to hire. And frankly, I'd rather hire the interns because they've gotten some exposure to us. They know what they look like, what it looks like culturally, and they've been through a partial training, so we can get them up to speed a lot faster, when they come in. If you're from an internship, dating myself, my internship was at the New York Stock Exchange. I was there on there, worked in various departments for the exchange for 3 summers.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'll give you 2 examples of projects that I've given interns, right? Just because it would, one was client, his wife had this mutual fund that he knew she inherited from her father like 8 years ago, but we didn't know what the cost basis was. He didn't really like it, didn't really want to keep it, but he didn't know what the tax impact would be. And we were doing his taxes, so we had to figure it out. So I kind of said, listen, we know she inherited it, in May of 2012. So kind of use the fair market value then, but then go back, and we have tools to do this, but go figure out with all the reinvested dividends, give me an idea what the cost basis is today, so that if he sells it, we know, hey, it's, this is what your tax impact is. So that was one. Another was, hey, they have kind of a hodgepodge of these individual stocks over at Morgan Stanley. If we brought those stocks over in kind, right, didn't sell them, just brought them over and put them into this strategy, what would we sell? What would we keep? And again, what's the tax impact? So it's kind of help me figure out how we can help the client and get them in the best allocation possible, keeping in mind taxes, which is always, a factor. But those were, literally, I took the analysis and shared it and said, hey, here's what we created.
Yeah.
I have a question. I'm Brian Cox from the Metro campus. Brian, earlier you mentioned that kind of your work changes on a day-by-day and case-by-case basis. Did COVID alter your business in any way, shape, or form? And if so, how did you kind of reassure your clients that this is the reason why we plan for this and whatnot?
Yeah, wow. Yeah, great question. Yeah, I would say COVID had a major impact. I think when you look across the board, I mean, when it first started happening, right, and when things started shutting down, the markets were falling apart, clients were reaching out nonstop. And then you're thinking about it, and it's interesting, you look kind of across, I look at the screen here from the team that's here, right? I'm home right now. Chris is home, Kat's home, Kathleen's in the office still, Jess is home, right? Like everybody was dispersed all of a sudden. And now where we were always talking about that culture being together, right? Now everybody's on an island. How do we keep everybody connected? So in my seat, it was extremely important that I made sure that they all stayed connected, right? And that we all knew what everybody's clients were kind of saying to one another and the concerns, so we can make sure that we were going out as a unified response back to everybody. I'll say this, when you look back to from a client engagement, last year, 2021 was a record banner year from a client engagement, et cetera, like new clients. It was a year that we've never seen before, right? And I think a lot of that was a lot of the goodwill and stuff like that that our clients were coming to us for during that 2020 time. We kept them invested. We kept a lot of our clients invested, made sure they weren't making those rash decisions at that time. Now, some did, some went against the advice. And when that market popped back again, they lost out because they sold at a low, right? But we regroup, we pick up, and we move forward. So, I mean, I think COVID was definitely a time where it was a sharp dip in the beginning, but the coming out of it, I think people really realized what they needed and what we were able to provide. And now we're seeing more and more companies coming to us looking for this, to provide this, not only to their C-suite individuals, right, the top of the house, but across the entire population, which you're seeing vast growth there. So.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Casey, it looks like you got your hand up.
Hello, Brian. Yes. I have a question. I know before earlier you mentioned how training looks about 8 weeks. Now, my question is for people that are trained for the SIE Series 6, C6, and the 7. Has there been a scenario where like they fail and you have to like maybe help them some more? And how is that process? Or is it, if you fail, it's good luck, maybe try next time, or do you guys help them, pass these licenses?
Yeah, no, excellent question. So, for the financial analyst position, the licensing is key, right? You need to have the licensing in order to do the job. You do. So you are given a time frame in order to pass, and I think it's all in. I think it's 6 months to pass the 3 exams. Okay. What we're doing here is, and actually, I'm very, very proud of this too, is that part of the work that we're doing for that, because we saw individuals struggling through that, is that I'm part of the group at the company now that's called the Licensing Guidance Network. What we've now created is a mentor and subject matter experts to come in to work with individuals to help them pass their exams. So if it's a portfolio question, if it's a regulatory aspect, and our mentors are people who just took the exam. Okay, so they have insight, the understanding, okay, well, this is how it flows. This is how you should be ready walking into this. This is how you prepare for it. And a lot of it is just making sure that you're answering questions in that support side. The external vendor that we use too for the study materials, we also partner with them to help make sure they're coming in and doing extra study sessions with our group, specifically like office hours, answering questions, et cetera. So yeah, Casey, I mean, the securities licensing is definitely needed. And unfortunately, we did have to part with some people who were unable to get there, but it was after multiple attempts. It was after multiple tries of getting them resources and putting them around them. And just unfortunately, some people aren't good test takers. And, it's an unfortunate part of the business, but it's not with a lack of effort from our end and making sure that they feel supported.
That's perfect. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
So something that comes to mind based on what Brian just said, right, was people that just took the test, right, and kind of coming back. If you guys want to practice how you can be a good employee and someone that stands out right away, right, you can do it already, right? Because I doubt there's any freshmen here, and even if there are, right, what do you know now where you're sitting that you didn't know that you wish you did? Tell that to the grade below you. Tell that to your friends back in high school that are seniors now, right? One thing, and Brian and a lot of people at the office know, I'm pretty passionate about it, right? At our office, make it better for the people that were behind you. What didn't you know that you wish you did? And if everyone does that, guess what? The job gets a little bit easier. Hey, this professor, if you just show up, right, and you have good attendance, they're going to take it easier on you. things like that, right? You can do that now because there you have people that are behind you. And if you start doing that, right, chances are 6 months into your first job, there's going to be a brand new class that comes in right behind you. Guess what? You're not the baby anymore. You can help somebody else. And you can start that now.
And Casey, I'll just go back to your question too for a second as well. So the SIE exam as well, right? The SIE exam is something that you all can study for now. That's not something, if you're looking to get into this field, that's something you don't have to wait to be employed for. You don't have to be at a firm to do that. You can start that process now. You know, those coming in with the SIE, taking the SIE and passing it and coming in, and we see that on the resume, we see that helps tremendously as well, and helps as we're looking at that as somebody that we would probably push to the higher level, because again, they're further along already coming in. So that's a newer development that's happened probably over the last 2 years. That wasn't there previously. So again, if you're really interested in it, I'd say start taking a look at the material. If it interests you, then maybe that's the direction you start to go.
I have one more question, actually. I know you mentioned before that the office is located in Parsippany. Are there other locations? And I know before you mentioned for internships, you said 2023. For the two client position, the client analyst position and financial analyst, is that the same, or are you looking for candidates as soon as possible?
So Kathleen, could probably rattle off the other offices better than I can. But I'll answer the other part of your question. Yeah. So for a financial analyst and client analysts, tax preparers, like we're constantly hiring for that right now. I've got three positions right now open that I'm looking to fill. So that's why we're getting the super day scheduled. Again, like I said, there's a number of faces on here already that I know that have applied, so that'll be coming to a theater near you soon. And so, yeah, that's constant. The summer internship is, like I said, is going to be this July for summer of 2023. Kathleen, I'll let you, no pressure here. I'm going to rattle off some of the other locations for us here.
No, I actually only know at the moment Cohoes. I think I don't remember the exact number, but I know because Yvonne actually sent an email just a little bit ago. There are open positions in Cohoes, but we're in Albany if you want to relocate.
But there are, Casey, I think so we have offices in Irvine, California, Deerfield, Illinois, Dallas, Texas, Chicago, Illinois, Pennsylvania, Georgia.
Yeah. Yep.
So Cohoes, 200 West. I mean, there's a lot of different positions. There's a lot of different offices around, and believe me, they're all looking for people constantly. So
thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question. So let's say you have the possibility to come up with a Series 7 exam license. So to which position can you apply for?
So if you're going for the securities licensing aspect, that's really going to be more the financial analyst role. For the client analyst position right now, that's I think if I'm forward thinking there, I think eventually we'll start to go that direction with the client analyst starting to study for the licensing as well. But for right now, it's the financial analyst.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Brian, we're mindful of your time. It's 5:32. Are you guys good for another question or two?
I think we take a team. I'm happy to stay if we can take a couple more. Sure.
Anybody have
Sure.
another question or two? These were great. Don't stop now. Anybody? Oh, I made everybody shy. Sorry.
No, look, great. Look, I'll say this. I really appreciated the questions. The involvement here today was phenomenal. So really, I appreciate that. You know, Mary told me ahead of time that I'm gonna have a great group coming in here. So she didn't disappoint here. So thank you all. I really appreciate the questions, the interaction, because again, we all don't want to be talking this whole time, right? And we want to make sure that the content that you're all getting is something you all want to be hearing about as well.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, team. You guys were absolutely fabulous. And I'm sure you'll be hearing from the students. Can they connect with you on LinkedIn?
Sure, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Wait,
All
don't
right.
hang up. Missy, do you want to share the
Yep.
suitable code?
Yep.
Okay. This was really great. Kathleen, everything you said is what we preach. So I'm so happy that you repeated it in your own words.
Awesome. I'm so glad I could do it.
Yes.
The code for the Goldman Sachs ACO people, the students get points. We have a professional development program and we use Suitable to track it. So they scan the code and they can get points towards their professional development. So that's what this is.
Nice. That's great. Beautiful.
Awesome.
All right, guys.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a
Beautiful.
great night.
Night.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Keep them on.